Nigel Dodds.
Mr. Speaker, and it's a great pleasure to follow the Honourable Member for South West Norfolk, who does a splendid job, I have to say, as Chairman of the All-Party Northern Ireland Committee, and also as a member of the Northern Ireland Select Committee, and thank him for his interest in Northern Ireland. And he was absolutely right to say, of course, that the crucial issue as far as police and justice devolution is concerned is something that my right honourable friend from East Belfast has said on a number of occasions, that the crucial criteria is getting it right, and that must be the issue that guides us all in this, because, as he said, if it is got wrong, then generations thereafter will bear the cost of getting it wrong. Mr. Speaker, we have had, I think, an extremely good debate. A number of speakers have said already, a measured debate. I think we have explored the issues in a very thorough way in the short time that's been available to us, and I want to commend my right honourable friend, the leader of our party from East Belfast, for the way in which he introduced the debate, and in which he set out very, very clearly the importance of this issue to the people of Northern Ireland, the people that we represent, and indeed to the whole future of the stability of the political institutions in Northern Ireland. Some members did question, notably the member speaking from the Liberal Democrat benches, about the topic, the choice of topic, and I commend him in the way that he did voice his concerns on that, because he did acknowledge, I think, in the end, that we were sincere in putting this motion forward because we want to tackle what is a running sore in politics and in the community in Northern Ireland. And if we're going to tackle the great issues about putting Northern Ireland onto a more prosperous and better footing going forward for everybody, then we've got to deal with these very, very important issues. And it is, I think, important that we should be talking about these issues at this juncture. Far too often we come to the issue of parading and contentious controversies about parading far too late in the cycle, the calendar cycle, I believe, because we deal with it in the heat of the issue when controversy is at its height. And it is important, and I think right, that we should be considering and talking about these issues now, when we have had the parading season passed, but we have still some time ahead of us. And it is time that I believe should be used constructively and properly to air these issues and to ensure that we get progress. But far too often the criticism has been from many people in the loyal orders and those who do engage and want to seek to promote engagement and have engagement, is that when they do spend their time in seeking to move forward and make progress and to enter into debate and dialogue and engagement, then when it comes ultimately to no agreement being reached, that we have the situation where the Parades Commission steps in, and instead of recognising the efforts that have been made throughout the winter months and in the spring months, all of that is simply ignored and set to one side, and we have the same or worse determinations made each year, which only exacerbates the problem rather than leading to any kind of solution. So it actually acts as a disincentive to people to engage. It acts as something that demoralises those who want to engage in debate and dialogue. Mr. Speaker, a number of members who have contributed have mentioned the importance of this issue in terms of the stability of Northern Ireland. The honourable member from South Down mentioned the fact that he said that this had been the quietest year for many years in terms of the parades in Northern Ireland, although I have to remind him that in the aftermath of the parade at the Ardoyne shops this year in my constituency in North Belfast, I mean, guns and blast bombs were being used on the streets of Belfast, and I wouldn't particularly describe that as one of the quietest years on record. But I have to say that what we need to do is to ensure that all of these elements, all of these people who want to come out and cause such disturbance and violence on our streets, that we put this to an end. And I think it's important, therefore, that as parties in Northern Ireland, that we demonstrate that we're not going to allow this to continue, and that we will not tolerate a situation where every year, in and around the 12th of July and before it, that we're having to stand on the streets of Belfast and elsewhere trying to calm people down, trying to work with others to restrain people from getting involved in violence or anything like it, and ensuring that we can make progress. Mr. Speaker, we've had a rehearsal by many of the history of this whole dispute and this whole issue. My right honourable friend from East Belfast, the member from Strangford, the member from Upper Bann, and others referred to the significant role that Sinn Féin have played in the fermenting of this trouble, particularly the reference to the statements made by the leader of Sinn Féin, Gerry Adams. And there's no doubt about the very significant role that Sinn Féin has played in relation to bringing about the current circumstances that we now find ourselves having to grapple with. But I think it is important, as others have said as well, to highlight the very significant tourism potential that there is in relation to the whole issue of the Orange parades and Loyal Order parades. And as a member of the Loyal Orange institution myself, as well as a member of the Apprentice Boys of Derry, I too am proud to say that on the occasions when we take part in those parades, the numbers of people who now watch those parades are significantly on the increase. An independent survey last year, for instance, or this year, indicated that 62% of those who were in Belfast city centre on the 13th of July, 62% had never been at a parade before. 98% of them said they'd be back next year. 80% bed occupancy in hotels in Belfast. Some 200 to 250,000 people watching them. And I think, again, the significance of all of that is that whilst parading may be to many people throughout the kingdom something of an issue which they say is what is the particular relevance or importance or vital concern in all of this? The fact of the matter is that in Northern Ireland and other parts of the United Kingdom, but notably in Northern Ireland, this issue goes to the heart of the community, certainly that we represent. It is part of our culture, it is part of our identity, and therefore those people who decided, Gerry Adams and Sinn Féin and others, who decided to turn this issue into an issue where they sought to make political advantage and through violence and intimidation seek to disrupt those parades, they knew exactly what they were doing in terms of what they were about. They knew that in doing that they would strike at the very heart of what makes a lot of Unionists and Protestant people in Northern Ireland tick, and that's why they did that. What we have got to do is find a way through these problems and these difficulties and ensure that those who want to foment trouble and disorder do not succeed.